Hi, everybody. What's up? It is Haley here on the Kai's Corner Productions Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope, wherever you may be watching. We are about to start our debate on Batman versus Iron Man. We're going to start by, I have a few scenarios. They're pretty loose scenarios that we'll be building off of. Then we'll take any comments from you guys. Leave them below or to the side or wherever the comment section is on your particular platform. And we'll be discussing that. I have a few panelists chilling, waiting below to come in. But I personally am mainly familiar with the movie Batman and Iron Man, but we'll be welcoming any opinions from comic book stuff, especially in the comments and things. Anything you know that you want to suggest that maybe it'll change up how the fight would go. Otherwise, let me introduce you to the first person that we'll be talking to, and they can let us know what their background is with these characters. Oh. Hi.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I am familiar with for Iron Man, I have a little bit of knowledge from the comics, but I'm mostly familiar with the cinematic universe. For Batman, I've seen all of the different adaptations pretty much between the animated, the films, and things like that. I have not seen anything with him from the comics, though. I like Green Lantern when I was reading the comics.
Right. No. Yeah. So we're pretty similar knowledge-wise, at least. So we have a similar idea in our head of these characters that we'll be pulling from, which is good. Let's see. Is there anything that you your favorite memory with either one of these two characters?
Okay, so I happen to like Christian Bale's version of Batman the best out of the ones I've seen for those. And just the backstory and things. Like Batman Begins was probably one of the best Batman films I've ever seen. And that kind of just got me with the character. That plus Heath Ledger's version of Joker in that franchise. It was just the Dark Knight series. It was just amazing.
It was a pretty good duo. It's kind of hard to beat when both of the characters are pretty good.
Yeah. And then for Iron Man, clearly the cinematic universe, Robert Downey Jr. did amazing work. I remember seeing the first Iron Man in films, and I've seen subsequently all of their films in theaters. Mm-hmm. and how Endgame, oh my god, he's an icon. You can't beat RTJ.
Yeah, no, he's I think even the comics, he's what most people pictured. We have our next panelist here that I'm going to bring up, my friend Tony. Hi.
Oh, hello.
So what's a little bit of your background with these two characters? Do you know more comics, more movies?
I've read some Batman comics. I would say I'm more familiar with Batman as a character overall. Iron Man, my familiarity is mostly with an MCU stuff, and even that I'm well behind. Mostly with Iron Man, some of the older movies, and little appearances here and there. But Batman, I quite like. I've read things like Long Halloween and Hush, and anything where Batman is doing detective things, I enjoy. But I'm terrible at keeping up with comics month to month, though. I usually just go for the compilations of storylines. But
yeah, no, that's one thing I wish they do more in the movies, is that Batman's supposed to be a detective, not just a billionaire with lots of toys. But yeah, we're also do you have a favorite memory with these characters? Mine was always with Iron Man, my favorite memory when I was growing up was watching it with my dad and pretending to be a superhero around the house when I was really young.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Favorite memories of Batman, if we're really taking it back. I had Batman toys as a kid, and I remember my dad's if you don't put those toys away, I'm going to throw them out. And me being a kid who's okay, yeah, that's reasonable. So it's hey, where's Catwoman? Well, I threw her out. What? Well, because you said if I didn't put them away, they're going to I figured I don't know.
Cut to the chase.
I guess I was just cutting to the changed. So like my dad and I still laugh about like me throwing my own toy out because I wasn't going to put it away, I guess.
You're like, put it in the crate where it goes or the trash can and never have to deal with it again, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a very fond memory of my first midnight showing of a movie ever was friends and I went and saw The Dark Knight. And then we went to Denny's afterwards and talked about how amazing The Dark Knight was. And while that movie hasn't aged the best in some ways, I'm still like very, very fond of Batman for things like that, I suppose.
Yeah. Was when we didn't have a super ton of superhero stuff coming out constantly. So it was easier to just like really fall in love with it. Next person we have to add on is Forsaken Wolf. What's up? We are going over like, what's your history with these characters? Are you more comic book stuff? Are you more movie stuff? I don't know if you have your mic. Forsaken Wolf, are you there? Might be having a tiny bit of technical issues. Hold on.
Oh, so Wolf is, strong, silent type.
No, we're... Are you good? Did you get your mic working?
I just sent him a text, so give him a sec if you want to keep going for a minute, if there's anyone else here.
That's all we've got so far. But it sounds like for most of us, we have some idea of what Batman is the comics and the movies, but mainly Iron Man was just from the movies, which actually makes sense considering they literally chose a group of random comic book characters that weren't big, showed them to kids, and figured out which one was going to be the best toy, and that was Iron Man, and that's how he got his first movie. So
that's
sense
reasonable.
We're not super familiar with his comic book.
A very toyetic character, and like it has the benefit, unlike Batman, where it's like they have to just like do like the Batman Arctic suit, where it was just some random like add-on toy. Like Iron Man has different suits, right? So like it lends itself to like having to buy 8 different Iron Men.
Exactly. I gotta get this next one. It's got the cool paint job that I want.
Yeah,
Mom, come on.
See, my favorite was like you had the toys where it was just like you have to buy Batman, but for some reason he's in like a baseball shirt. And you're not sure why, but it's like a different Batman, and like you'd go to a friend's house and they would just have the Batman that was in the weird outfit. You weren't sure, so you just kind of like pretend it was normal Batman, but
Your kids, you got imagination to spare.
Yeah.
Right? I can hear Forsaken Wolf, kind of. So maybe, hopefully, Mike will be coming in soon. But otherwise, after that, we have 3 basic scenarios that I have already planned out, and then we'll be taking comments and anybody on the panel who has any other things. Which my 3 are: they have pre-planning and all their resources. So they've got their suits, they've got their utility belts, and they know they're fighting like next week. Another one is no planning. They just like showed up at the same scene and are fighting for some reason. So full resources of what they normally would have on them, but they've not had the chance to pre-plan their weaknesses. And then the third is full bare knuckle brawl, no suits, no utility belt, nothing.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
Yeah. If Forsaken Wolf is muted now, so he's probably figuring out his mic. I believe, was there one other person coming, or I think this is everybody?
I think this is everybody.
All right. Then I guess for now, while we wait for Forsaken Wolf, let's get started in on our first scenario. They have planning, and they have all their resources available to them. They're planning the fight next month. They've had a full enough time to investigate to see if maybe they can figure out each other's secret identities and their weaknesses from there. All that stuff.
Okay. We're gonna, I guess, answer Forsaken Wolf for now. His mic is having a problem, and he's sending us it through private chat. So
perfect.
So we'll answer for his. Okay. So what I got hit for him is when it comes to hand-to-hand combat, Batman has training with League of Shadows.
Yeah. For that scenario, when we get there, I definitely think that's going to be a very big points in his side.
What Iron Man suit do we have him in? That's a very good question.
That is a good question. I personally just think of him as like in the MCU.
Yeah. Okay. So I have my husband John is saying if he is in the Hulkbuster outfit, it's over. Hands down.
I don't know how well Bruce can. I mean, he does. He could have thought ahead and had something that like neutralizes equipment, but I also feel like Iron Man might also have like backup power somewhere in his suit.
I mean, so if we're talking with planning and assuming that like they're exist within the same universe or whatever, Batman's whole thing is it's like he has plans upon plans in case any member of the Justice League goes evil, right? So
yeah, he has contingency on.
He would have contingencies stacked to deal with Iron Man. Like possibly including ways to mess with his suit. I don't know. I feel like given enough foreplanning, Batman would just be playing 5D chess hard enough to maneuver around Tony Stark. Now, if Tony shot him with a bunch of rockets and
before he even gets close enough to do anything.
But
because Tony does have loves, at least in the MCU, having little rockets on every bit of his suit that he can fit it on. We've got Tony himself. He does also have, Batman's touted, especially in the comments, for having a brain and being a detective. But so is Tony. He's also incredibly smart. He actually builds all of his tech, whereas Batman doesn't. So that's I think a plus in his side that maybe he can have backup power and figure out. He'll learn Martha's name and use it against Batman.
Yes, the ultimate. Oh my god! I suppose it's. I still feel that with all the planning and resources and forethought, it's in. It would go to Bruce Wayne's corner harder than Stark's. If only because, like you said, he doesn't build his own stuff, so he's got like the team to consult with. If he's got enough time, he can go. I mean, potentially he could correspond with the entirety of the Justice League. Then I guess Stark could do the Avengers, but I don't know.
And a Justice League versus the Avengers—that's a topic all on its own.
Absolutely, that is.
Well, and then like what version of the teams, right? Because like there's the bad Avengers teams that are in like the B books, and like no one.
Oh yeah, there's the West Coast Avengers. There we go.
Yeah.
Fight against them.
I can't remember who's in them. I just remember there's some real jobbers.
Oh, hey, that was a camera flash for a second there.
Are we gonna have a wolf on stream?
Oh no!
It's just live cut to one of those wildlife cams, just like a wolf in a den.
So, Kai, what do you think with planning and resources?
Like John was saying, if he had the Hulkbuster suit, even with all the planning in the world, like Tony is a freaking genius. I mean, Bruce, he's no slouch himself, but he's just a freaking genius, and he designs everything himself. He's been preparing for galactic threats from the beginning, because he even says it in the first Avengers, about them being up there, especially after with the whole Thor mess and everything. And it's just he's ready for it all. He's ready.
the scope. I mean, the scope of the Avengers threats is usually a lot more severe than the scope of like Bruce Wayne's rogues gallery. I mean, now this is just like I mostly have just read the Batman-centric Batman stories. I know he goes and fights death or whatever in the weird like universe crisis events.
Honestly, at this point, who hasn't fought death in the comics?
But I feel like everyone's fought God at this point. Yeah. But yeah, like if we're talking about scale, Tony Stark's probably more prepared for just dealing with kind of whatever. But if Batman can plan ahead of him far enough, I feel like like he might be able to prevent all of the to prevent the advantages from falling into place. But I don't know. It depends on the writing, because it's like sometimes with any detective story, if you have the writers who are setting it up and paying it off well, it's satisfying. But then you can always have writers that just go like, "Oh, I need to write." It's sort of like JoJo's, isn't it? Where the plan goes into place and you didn't see any of it happen, but you're just informed that they're very smart and they fixed it.
Yeah, depending on if you actually get like is this a version of him where we actually saw him work through things, and you know that they're actually smart and actually have things go on, or is it a version where they're like they're smart, it happened off screen, don't even worry about it, he's got the information now? Because that'll, I feel like, depend on also like how long they have, because I bet both of them will be finding out things, and where if you were to fight today, this would come out ahead, and then tomorrow something shows up, and now they're more leaning towards the other person.
And I don't know. I think with a lot of these, it just comes down to like, what's the tone of the story? Because there's so many versions of each of these characters. There's so many settings, and they have different sort of levels of stakes and tone, and I don't know. Like I feel like purely raw, two cool characters fighting in a Saturday morning cartoon knockdown drag out. Probably Iron Man, actually, just raw firepower and just punch, and he's fought God, he's punched death in the face several times, you know. He's probably got it. And I don't know much about the new Iron person, the like Tony's successor, right?
That's true. Well, we're talking Tony Stark.
Tony Stark.
I also don't know too much. She's pretty new in the comics as well, so but yeah, Tony Stark and Bruce Wayne. I honestly think, unless Bruce finds like a clutch item or somebody on his team is able to create something, I think Tony might be able to take it with planning and resources, because he'll be able to put in like backup power in his suit and stuff to counteract something to do that. Unless Batman gets like a really good like batarang in like a crevice that shuts down the like one of his arms. I don't really see him not having that kind of stuff.
EMP.
EMP. Hey, we can hear you now.
Yay!
Sorry it took so long. I had to change headsets.
Oh, you're good. Did you have any? What's your background on the characters, real quick?
It doesn't need to be checked on. It's fine.
Well, as far as I know, from hearing everybody else, but what you're talking about is a batarang that has an EMP capability, or that can set, or that has an electrical charge to fry part of its system.
Mm-hmm.
But Iron Man, however, has plenty of components that can be either repairable on the spot or it's EMP proof due to its titanium alloy on Mark 47.
That's true. Yeah, on that.
And as was you pointed out, it's like he's capable of making those repairs himself very quickly. Mm-hmm. Where if Wade's equipment goes out, he has to go talk to Lucius, right?
Yeah, he's got to go get somebody's help and get a replacement.
And also, sorry for interrupting, but also
you're good.
Jarvis AI that Iron Man has with him at all times, but Bruce Wayne has only himself and a supercomputer that doesn't give him all the feedback.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Bat computer isn't like on Jarvis's level, right? It's much more mission support than like full spectrum control, right?
Yeah,
so.
fully interactive.
Yeah, and like we've seen from Far From Home, when he got the glasses for Edith for Tom Holland, Peter Parker, yeah. But when Peter Parker got the glasses when he inherited Edith, it literally can go into the whole defense grid. So he not only, if he has the planning, has his own resources, he has the freaking planet's resources as well if he really wanted it.
True. Yeah, he can call in a missile strike while he's down, like as his final move if he really wanted to.
But let's not forget, Batman also has a satellite tower that he made for the Justice League.
Oh yeah, he does. He does have stuff.
And he
I keep
does
forgetting
have
about his stuff with the Justice League.
Yes, and according to Justice League Unlimited, he actually has a powerful laser cannon. It's basically a hammer of God. It will just be a few miles wide of power.
Those are both. But how? What is his like ability to pull that up though? Is he able to pull it up as quickly as Stark is with Jarvis in control? Because otherwise, I think Iron Man might take this with pre-planning thought.
Right. Given enough time, Batman has like apocalypse level contingencies for everybody.
That's true.
But like, if it was a spontaneous, I don't know, if it was like a week ahead, maybe not, but I don't know. I feel like if it's like he was just suspected it was coming for years, like he was when like he was just he was just expecting Superman was going to turn evil at some point and just was ready for it somehow.
Yeah, do have it in the comic books where they're like, oh yeah, he just has like a trunk of kryptonite that he just keeps on him just in case. But yeah, I think it would end up depending on the writing, but I do think end of the day that Iron Man would take this.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, like, especially, and I lost my train of thought too. I'm sorry. Kids running around.
You're good.
No, I think it would go to Iron Man, but I think also part of it is it's like Batman has a lot of much smaller scale stories and threats, and Iron Man is up here with like galactic threats.
Yeah.
So it's like raw power and sort of abilities on hold. It's like it's almost not an even match, but at the same time, I'm just like Batman's fought everybody and Superman and DC's versions of death and what have you. So
Yeah, Batman's fought gods, but Iron Man has fought self-proclaimed gods too.
mhm.
All right, so
Now,
for
the
this
thing
one,
the thing is between both Iron Man and Batman
Mhm.
is both between power and hand-to-hand combat. One is
Yes.
greater than the other.
Mhm.
yeah, that's what when we do the bare knuckle brawl one. I have opinions on how potentially quickly that one could be over. But let's move on to they have their resources, but no pre-planning. They just both happened to show up and decided let's fight for some reason. So it's
Well,
whatever you think they would have on them normally.
Works
They
for
don't
Batman v Superman.
yeah.
Yeah, I know Iron Man would not be without a suit because he literally has that thing tucked away, easily accessed everywhere.
Mhm.
Like they definitely I think he would have a suit. I definitely don't think he'd be able to have like the Hulk Buster on him. That seems like a special event type of thing.
Batman
Batman
could
has it
avoid
too.
dying, and he could maybe get away, but I don't think he would kind of have a chance. What with all the missiles?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. For Iron Man, he does have a nanomachine suit that he can just wear out of nowhere.
Does he really? Wow.
If you've
Yeah.
seen the comics and in the movie Endgame, well, Infinity War, he has nanomachine tech on his arc reactor on his chest.
Oh.
Yeah, he
Okay.
can in Infinity War at one point he only had the suit in like important parts because the rest of it had been knocked away, but he was still able to move it around like his head, his hands and stuff. So Tony, I always assume he's got a suit handy because that's just how he runs his life.
Okay.
Whereas, and Batman usually has something nearby because he's a billionaire. He can get away with always having like a suitcase on him.
Yeah, he also has like, if I remember correctly, in some of his clothing, it has like special buttons or something where the Batmobile comes, and usually his gear's in the Batmobile.
Mhm.
Okay, so yeah, we're assuming they have their normal gear, what they would normally go out on to like
Yeah.
patrol for bad guys. So would Batman have an EMP in his normal utility belt?
I think it was with the Batarang, so I think he would have an EMP already on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's gonna be a yes and no, maybe.
I think with the resources with no pre-planning, that gives Bruce a much better advantage than with planning, because I think with planning, Tony is going to beat him hands down. But without planning, Batman actually stands a chance. I still personally think that Tony would come up above, but like it gives Bruce that edge that he's definitely going to need, which he might full well be able to take advantage of that.
Now, also, well, Batman, as him being very smart and intelligent when it comes to items, he can actually make an EMP grenade out of it. That's something that is disguised as a cell phone.
Tony's
Oh,
back.
hello. Yes, sorry. Batman's
Batman's throwing an EMP right at your internet, it seems. We will be back with Tony in just a second. Ah, there he is. I see him moving again.
Oh,
Boom.
yes.
Got you back.
Hello. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel the opposite to Colleen. I think like planning favors Batman, but spontaneity would favor Stark, unless Batman has his gun from his first appearance way back in the day.
If he was still a gun-toting.
If he still just had a gun, he was just a man with a gun and like a cape. But
Yeah, I don't know if more modern Batman. I mean, well, if you take fully modern Batman in the movies, apparently he does occasionally just use a gun. So
yeah,
usually it's on his bike though. So
yeah, but resources, no planning. I really feel that like Stark just in terms of he can don a bulletproof suit, fly with little difficulty, punch things through walls, and like Batman's a good fighter, but
he's a good fighter. He's got that parkour, but
if he gets his chest caved in by a pneumatic like power fist, I don't know that it'll help him.
Yeah. He would. I know he would still have like his batarang things, which could get stuck. But if Tony has that nano suit and he can just adjust, I don't see those being too much of a problem. Unless he happens to time it just right when like some flesh is exposed. But that would have to take some pretty good planning, which Batman has shown to have in some writers. Some writers almost give him like a supernatural sense.
Like it becomes almost supernatural. Yeah. What you got for the first category? I feel like it's him for spontaneity. I feel like it's Iron Man. I'm trying to think. Is there anyone in the rogues gallery for like Batman or the League that's like an artificer on the level of Tony Stark? There must be, right?
I don't know. Maybe I've got maybe there's some more of the extended stuff that hasn't been in like the later movies, just like that. But I don't know of any that are like in the movies so far. So.
Yeah, because I don't know, the most technological sort of Batman villain I can think of is like, I guess someone like Mr. Freeze, just because I mean it's very machinery based, but that's not a power suit; it's just gear. I don't know. Like there must be someone he's faced that's comparable to Iron Man, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think
well enough.
Spontaneity wise, I think Iron Man would take it. Do you have any opinions, Chris or Forsaken Wolf?
No, the only thing I can think of that Batman had more trouble with in his whole franchise would be Dr. Freeze, if not Lex Luthor. I know he's Superman's bad guy, but he does have a suit that is capable of taking down a Kryptonian.
Oh, okay. And I mean, Batman and Luthor have interacted plenty of times, so.
Yeah, it just depends on like if they will. So in this scenario, hopefully, it's just because if we start bringing in all of their like friends that could potentially come to help, we're gonna get crazy. Because then you can bring in Thor, you could bring in any of the Guardians of the Galaxy to help Tony out because he's worked with them before. It can start to get. But then you also have the Martian on Martian Manhunter.
I was going to say to a large extent, I feel like that's going to be in the Avengers' favor, but I mean, DC has some very supernatural members of the Justice League that would be there. We'd have Green Lantern and Martian Manhunter.
251.
Yeah, I think spontaneity wise, Iron Man would take it, just the two of them. But now, we head to the next one with no planning, no resources. They're just two dudes on the street and decided to fight.
So it's Bruce Wayne, a trained assassin, versus some old drunk, depending on who's writing Tony. So I'm going to go say Bruce Wayne, hands down.
I definitely think Bruce kind of, with that League training, really really pulls it in.
Because I mean, Batman spends quite a lot of his time just going hand to hand with most of his rogues gallery. You know, there's a lot of fist fighting that happens.
Okay, before we keep going on, for those that are watching the stream, we are going to be dropping our Periscope, but we will still be on the YouTube and the Facebook, okay?
If you're watching on Periscope, and if you want, you know, you can always head over to other ones. If not, totally understand. Sometimes you have your preferred platform. But yeah, I think Bare Knuckle Brawl, like that league training really knocks in like him way above Tony. So even if you go with Tony that is has some kind of fighting style, I don't think you can match the League of Assassins.
No, it's not that I would say Tony Stark isn't necessarily, I don't know, a complete slouch. It's just
right.
It's the equivalent of if he was fighting, oh god, a trained assassin character from that universe whose name escapes me. Sorry, but you know, just trading in hand to hand. It's a clear advantage there, and.
Yeah.
And I know this isn't what they do with his character anymore, but I still just think of Tony Stark as kind of a barely functional addict, just from the older interpretations of the character. But
yeah, I could definitely see for like the other two scenarios, I still think Tony, but for this particular one, I think Bruce would win hands down. He has more of the combat training that we were talking about. He's not a god like Superman, so it's not like Tony's like definitely squishy.
yeah, artificers are wizards. They're squishy.
I think most of Tony's combat skills have been through the use of the suit. Like he's learned how to fight with the suit. I don't know how much he's done without it.
If he can be denied his equipment, he's just like a smart man, which is useful. But if you deny Batman his equipment, he's still a ninja. So there's...
Yes.
Yeah, because even if he had the planning with none of the resources, he would definitely have still a decent shake. But again, it's the fact that he has no planning, no resources. I mean, you saw how he was with that against like Thanos and stuff to begin with. It's like, and that he had the planning and the resources for.
Well, that was there was a moment in one of the movies where like they destroy his whole fleet, right? That's his low moment because he has nothing. Like he's he's powerless in that moment. Oh gosh, and then I mean comparable like the powerless moments for Batman are usually I suppose when he had his back broken.
Yeah. And even then, he was still working out to get it better.
Oh yeah, and even then he was still sort of. Actually no. I know. During No Man's Land, that whole arc when the earthquake destroyed the mansion and just destroyed Gotham, and like he was doing his best Batman he could do, but he was doing it without like most of his resources, and like everyone was living as a refugee. His villains were just sort of wreaking havoc, largely left to their own devices. So I suppose a similar scenario, like completely their whole base of operations and all their fancy toys get taken away, and they're just sort of fairly impotent. Again, depending on the writer.
Yeah,
it's hard to talk about comic books. I don't know the writers that well, and there's 12 million of them.
Yeah, and they all have their own takes, but yeah, because even at least if we're just talking movie wise. With suit, Tony's very strong because he was able to fight both Captain America and Bucky at the same time in Civil War, still holding his own. But without suit, we haven't really seen him. I think at most he's like done a punch or two out of the suit. I don't know how like outside of just knowing how to punch.
Yeah,
he is. Whereas out of suit, Batman. Even in movie, we've seen he can absolutely hold his own. He trained with Ra's al Ghul and League of Assassins. It's almost no contest context when you're going against.
I mean,
training.
honestly, if we're assuming movies or most recent interpretations, I feel like it all goes to Iron Man then, because movie Batman hasn't been really much of a planner in the last several iterations. I mean, even as much as like people enjoyed the Nolan take, he didn't do nearly as much thinking. I don't know in those. I feel like as punching.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to maybe in sometime in the future them remembering that Batman is supposed to be a detective outside of this toys.
They've been doing the animated movies with some good stories, right? Like they just did the
That's
animated
true.
Hush, and like does good detective things in Hush. I don't know. I feel like DC's strength is their animated wing, which hardly gets any press, which is unfortunate. But
Yeah, they're doing amazing work.
I mean, not all of them. There's that awful Killing Joke, but that's sorry.
I mean, even then, that was like the fact that they were able to do it, but that storyline in itself was just not something that I don't think needed too much more stuff on it.
I mean, yeah, if you ask Alan Moore, you should never adapt any of his work, and screw you for reading it in the first place. I don't know. It's a complicated man.
What about you, Forsaken Wolf? No planning, no resources.
Well, back to the training part. Tony did receive some training from Shield at some point.
Oh,
He did
yeah.
and he also has some moderate boxing skills, which is basically pieces of paper to a brick wall to somebody that knows martial arts on so many levels. Bruce, besides the League of Shadows from his training, he also learned other disciplines between karate. Let me see. All right, jiu-jitsu and some other martial arts that I forgot that he has taken. Because since he wanted to seek vengeance for his family in the city of Gotham that failed him.
Yeah. Yeah, he just has a lot of background in fighting.
I'm seeing if I punch it into Google, I see he's learned 127 martial arts styles.
How could anyone learn that many in a lifetime?
Because he's Batman.
That's why.
Well, I mean, anyone that can compare him to martial arts training would be Deathstroke. Because Deathstroke is a weapon master of every firearm in existence, but he also has the extent combat.
Yeah, Deathstroke is like treated as a proper threat in some of those comic books. I was disappointed that the Deathstroke that popped up in the movies didn't seem nearly as like menacing as I mean, yeah, I don't know. They went the direction they went with him, and like he's fun and watchable because of that. But like, I don't know. I guess I still think of also like Slade in the back of my mind. I remember like how terrifying he was in that interpretation.
Yeah.
We're just barely getting that page when it came to Suicide Squad on Deathstroke, because he was being ordered to do stuff, not being manipulated or controlled as much as triggered him to go become a full
What about you, Kayleen? And in no planning, no resources, what's your opinion here?
Yeah, like I said, like I think Bruce would win on no planning, no resources with the martial arts and just general always being ready to take down any sort of galactic threat, especially with, Superman getting ready to be evil, even without his full resources. I think he'd be full ready to, unless Tony can get him knocked out in one blow before he's ready. Tony, it's in game for him, Tony.
Yeah, I think honestly, like if we were looking at any of the street level Marvel heroes, it would be a much more even fight. For some reason, like the higher like level we get with Marvel, I feel like the less equipped some of like the regular humans are for just punching. But like if we had Punisher versus Batman, like I feel like that fight would last 4 days. And,
we need to stop, take a break for orange slices or something, and then send them back in.
Yeah,
No.
Tony wouldn't give up easily, but I definitely think he would like.
Oh
be
yeah,
able to-
I don't see him giving up at all.
No, it would,
but I
it would
do
be
see
to Stan Marsh. Like I didn't hear a bell. You know, have to knock him unconscious. But
So I think for this one, Bruce has got it. So on to any curiosity, is there any comments from you guys? Any scenarios that you guys have that are watching or here on the panel? Because these three have been ones that I've come up with that you guys think would add a little something to this. Maybe a point we didn't hit that you'd like considered for this. I'll give you guys a few minutes not a few minutes, like a minute or two to type up any comments you have. But otherwise, I'll leave it to you guys on the panel.
Maybe going into their own, like the opposites turf, like between Gotham and New York, basically.
Mm-hmm. Luckily, I mean, they are kind of similar. I think Gotham's based off of like Chicago, right? More or less.
Yeah, Gotham's more Chicago and Metropolis is more New York.
But
The equivalency there. Now, I mean, if they're in that turf, is that assuming like so is everyone else? I mean, we have the Bat Family in Gotham, but then we have the Avengers and all the street level Marvel boys and girls in
yeah, I think once you start bringing like their teams
in
into
New
it,
York,
it gets way
yeah.
too big too quickly. But if it's just the one character in their opposite,
Or just their
line.
sidekicks, like Peter and
Robin.
wow, Tony, and then Robin and Bruce.
Well, then you pull into which Robin are we talking about? Like Tim Drake. Oh shoot, what?
Dick Grayson.
Dick Grayson. What's the one that is his son? That's like one of the newer ones that everybody hates.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was going to say it. Everyone's favorite Damian Wayne.
Damian Wayne.
I'd probably go with Dick's Robin interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's my.
So Nightwing or Robin? I mean, that's
Nightwing.
Nightwing. Yeah.
Yeah, Nightwing.
Because like
Nightwing's
Nightwing
cool.
on his own is without a doubt.
Yeah, I think that's really hard because Peter, I mean, don't get me wrong, Parker is really cool, but all he really has going for him is like the web shooters and stuff.
Yeah, in the MCU version, he's definitely a contender, can hold his own, but I don't know against Batman
Or
or
Nightwing.
against Nightwing if it was like sidekick.
Peter Parker is smart but impulsive, right? So if Batman could think around him, I feel like it would be he could minimize any threats Spider-Man would pose to him, at least to an extent. I mean, again, in a one-on-one fight, Spider-Man has super strength, whereas Batman is just some guy. So
Some guy with a lot of training, though.
Yeah.
some guy with a lot of training, yes, but
I think the team,
very
though,
tough.
like 2-on-2, I think it would be Batman and Nightwing,
Yeah,
even with their gear. I because they have such better synergy and like we saying, like Nightwing not only has strength, but he has all the bat tech equipment too at his disposal.
Yeah, I do always think of like good teamwork when I think of Batman and Robin, or Batman and Nightwing, some whatever Robin flavor. But then like I think of Tony and War Machine, and I just think of them arguing a lot.
Yeah, they're bickery on the field. They don't like just know the other person's gonna do something kind of thing. Like you can get away with the Bat Family. A lot of times when they're fighting, it's like, well, how would you even know that person was there? Because I fought with them forever and I just know them. The other two bickering constantly.
Yeah, anyone Tony is with.
They'll have a few moments of good synergy, but for the most part, it's just bickering back and forth.
Well, because you got to think of on the perspective, Stark is just basically himself. He doesn't work for military, unlike War Machine. He has to follow direct orders from his superiors.
That's true.
And unlike Batman, he has no jurisdiction. He can go to the Gotham police and work for them, no problem. But if he wants to seek true justice, then he can just do that all on his own with a computer and billions of dollars underneath his belt.
Yes.
Yeah, and now with Tony with the Sokovia Accords, like he for the most part is being a good boy.
So far,
Yeah.
we'll see. Well, Tony, we won't. But, you know.
The Avengers are an extrajudicial force. Yes, they're like I don't know. They're not the U.S. government, right? They're just some like Shield is just whatever it is.
Mhm.
I'm unfamiliar.
Think of it as a third-party division.
Mm-hmm.
Like they answer to the government, but at the same time, if it comes to doing what the government wants and saving the planet, they're going to save the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sadly, I don't think the Batman's fighting Batman in the street is going to be.
Yeah.
For saving the planet.
In a court of law, who would look the worst? Batman or Iron Man?
That's what this is now. This is a jury case. We're fully going like.
I
And
feel
they
like
both have
both
all
of
the
them.
money to get out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the thing. They have the money to get out of it. I feel like both of them are technically culpable of like crimes against humanity on some level, depending on stories. I don't know. I would argue Iron Man looks worse because he works for like bigger people, but like Batman does a lot of crimes on the street level in Gotham, and again, depending on story, like Commissioner Gordon would rather have him locked up than running around causing more problems. But
Yeah, and like Iron Man, he flat out told them in the first film, "I'm Iron Man." He wasn't hiding behind any facade. Bruce is hiding
Right.
behind the facade, and if it gets shown out, he's going to prison. Like that's not.
actually, that's an interesting point. Like Tony Stark doesn't seem to care, and I guess he knows that he won't be touched. Whereas
Because technically he can't be touched due to the weapons and tech he makes.
right.
He can literally buy out the
Which
justice
is
system.
which
that
is
he wants.
terrifying. Honestly, like now that I think about it, Batman would really have a lot of reservations in the same way he's like, I don't know about Superman. Like the good thing he's a Boy Scout because he's God.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, legal standing. Stark has already basically told them "f you" during the whole Sokovia Accord thing to begin with.
I have money. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but
can't-
Superman is willing to stand trial on his own if he has to.
Right.
He doesn't. He was raised to not to provoke to violence.
Yeah, he's
Stay in the name of justice and what's good on behalf of humanity instead of following what's downstairs or go evil upon it.
Yeah. All right. We haven't received any comments yet, so if there's anything else you guys want to bring up, otherwise, I'm probably gonna wrap it.
all right.
I've got nothing.
Perfect. All right. Thank you all for coming, for being on the panel, for being in the comments and watching. Anybody who was in, these will also be up on our YouTube and Facebook for a while, so please check it out on your own time. If you have a friend who's got an opinion, maybe they could leave a comment, and maybe I'll look at it later and leave something. But yeah, thank you guys
And for
so
the
much.
next
Go
debate,
ahead.
it will be in April. I don't have the exact date now, but the topic is PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox. Microsoft. Which company is better, and just the general things about if the upgrades that they're coming out with are worth it or not, like for the PS5 that just came out and things like that. So keep an eye on the Kai's Corner Productions website and sign up for a newsletter, and that'll be announced the beginning of the month.
We've got that. Don't forget to check out our website in general. We've got lots of stuff on there. We have our blogs. We have all of our videos. Sign up for our newsletters that go out within the first week of each month. Check us out on our Discord. There's also a donate link on our website that helps pay those of us who do stuff on the channel and for future projects like the Blackbirds and the Kickstarters and stuff that we've got going on. Kaidi, can you think of anything else we need to shout out?
Yes, about the newsletter. Sign up soon because we are actually getting ready to vamp up for our month-long charity streams in June. And the May and June newsletters are going to have full details, including the talents that we managed to book and even some of the tentative ones that are not quite for sure on the schedule, but have already confirmed that they want to do it. We will have live Q&As, film screenings, video game tournament. So you'll be able to sign up on our website soon. We're going to have all that information for in May. The 2 games we have come up with is Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle. We're going to have a whole tournament on that, and Soul Calibur 6. So if you have those games, sign up. Some of our members are doing it. And the winners of the tournaments will get gift cards. I will be buying $20 gift cards for 2 different places, and we'll have full details on our website. So sign up as soon as you can.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for being on. Forsaken Wolf, Tony, Kylene, and I'm Haley. I had a great time hosting. Bye, everybody. See ya.